that will have to be tackled by our oil companies, Petros. Thank you.
Yang Berhormat Encik Azizul Anwar Pihinsri Adanan.
Thank you, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, sir. Ingin bertanya kepada Bapak Mentua. Soalan saya nombor 63.
Ada juga Pak Mentua. Ini Pak Mentua saya.
Terima kasih Tan Sri Speaker. Terima kasih kepada ahli yang berhormat for Tanjung Datuk. Allow me to answer also question 88, which is also in correlation with question 63. For the information of ahli yang berhormat for Tanjung Datuk, carbon trading is one of the mechanisms to mitigate climate change. Carbon trading is actually the buying and selling of carbon credits in the international market or local market to control the emission of carbon. Carbon trading is done in two ways, which is the voluntary carbon market and also the compliance carbon market. So for Sarawak, with 65% of its land consisting of forests, 15% of mangrove, which can store 3 times the amount of carbon, and also 15% of the 65% is made up of peat, definitely Sarawak will embark into carbon trading. Tan Sri Speaker, carbon trading actually has started about 27 years ago in 1995 after the Kyoto Protocol was agreed. It became more active in the last 7 or 8 years after the agreement on the Paris Agreement of 2015, whereby Article 6, Article 6.2 and Article 6.4 has mentioned clearly on carbon trading. So Sarawak, in the last few years, have made a very important decision, whereby Sarawak will play a very important role and would like to take part in the mitigation of climate change. Therefore, the Sarawak government has formed this new ministry, which is called the Ministry of Energy and Environmental Sustainability, because the solution to climate change is by reduction of carbon emission, which is done through various ways, for example, recycling, circular economy, renewable energy, reduction in the usage of coal, fossil and nuclear, carbon trading, CCUS, carbon capture, usage and storage, and also lastly through the financial control through ESG, which is environment, social and governance. Mr. Speaker, the Sarawak Green Economic Policy is a policy which is drawn by our ministry, and we are proud to say that we are the first in Malaysia to have this green economy policy, which basically says that our economy in the future will be based on low carbon and decarbonization. Actually, Sarawak is now carbon negative. We are not even carbon zero. We are not even net zero. But if we don't do anything in the next 8 years, we will be net zero. And if we don't do anything in the next decade, we will be carbon positive. Mr. Speaker, the hydrogen economy policy is also drafted based on the potential of Sarawak to produce large quantity of hydrogen from renewable energy, which is hydro, for export, for transport, and for the industries. This also is the first hydrogen economy policy in Malaysia. Mr. Speaker, as we all know, the Russia-Ukraine war has woken up the giants in the industrial countries, that we are not able we are no longer able to depend on oil and gas. Because with the rise in the price of oil and gas due to the Russian and Ukraine war, it has affected the economies and the livelihoods of the people in Europe. Therefore, an alternative form of new energy must be discovered, and the answer is hydrogen. Any country in the world can produce hydrogen if they have two things. Number one, they have water, and number two, they have energy. The only question is what type of energy they have. Is it coal, fossil or nuclear, which are all not green, or is it hydropower, which Sarawak has? Therefore, hydrogen is the energy of the future. Mr. Speaker, now I shall answer the question from Ahli Yang Berhormat Tupong, which touches on the development of hydrogen industry in Sarawak. Untuk makluman Ahli Yang Berhormat Tupong, Kerajaan Sarawak telah pun membuat keputusan yang penting juga beberapa tahun yang lalu untuk mencuba diri di dalam industri hidrogen. Dan Kerajaan Sarawak telah pun menubuhkan sebuah GLC, Government Link Company, di bawah SEDC yang dinamakan SEDC Energy. SEDC Energy lah yang akan bekerjasama dengan syarikat-syarikat pengeluar hidrogen di dunia, dan kita telah pun mendapat confirmation daripada dua syarikat, iaitu Sumitomo Corporation and INEOS daripada Jepun, dan juga Samsung Engineering, POSCO dan Lotte Chemical daripada Korea. Sekian, terima kasih.
Thank you, Yang Berhormat Timbalan Menteri. I have two further supplementary questions. Thank you for the explanation. Number one, maybe all of us would want to know what are carbon credits, and then number two, how do they verify the standards of carbon offset projects? Thank you.
So, carbon credits are actually measurable, verifiable reductions in carbon emission, which can be measured by using a formula. Yeah? And also now, there is another technology which can use the satellite to measure the carbon content in the forest carbon. And these credits are tradable units that can represent the tonnage of carbon, either removed or avoided. So one carbon credit is equals to 1 ton of carbon. And now the price of carbon credit ranges between 8 USD per ton to about 50 USD per ton. So here we can imagine the amount of revenue that Sarawak will have if we embark into carbon trading. The second question is, how are the standards verified? There are 3 layers of measurement. Number one is to be done by the government through the Forest Department. Number two, the second layer, is through the carbon consultants or the carbon traders. And the third layer, the verification must be done by an independent international body. So there are 3 layers of measurement. It cannot be done simply, it must be licensed, and Sarawak is in the process of issuing and coming up with the rules and regulations to carry out carbon trading through carbon licensing. And also Sarawak is in the process of forming our own carbon registry. Thank you.
Soalan tambahan, Speaker. Terima kasih Yang Berhormat Dato' Ahmad Speaker. Terima kasih Ahli Yang Berhormat daripada Demak Laut. Soalan tambahan saya, apakah manfaat jangka masa panjang bagi rakyat Sarawak untuk projek algae ini? Dan yang keduanya, apakah justifikasi dan faktor-faktor yang dipertimbangkan oleh SCDC Energy ini untuk bekerjasama dengan Petronas bagi penghasilan hydrogen electrolyzer berbandingkan dengan syarikat-syarikat lain? Terima kasih. Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad.
Terima kasih Yang Berhormat Ahli Bagi Tupong. Sebenarnya industri mikroalgae adalah merupakan satu industri baru di mana karbon yang disimpan di bawah tanah, di bawah program carbon capture, usage and storage boleh digunakan untuk menghasilkan biofuel yang berkualiti tinggi sekiranya karbon tersebut dicampuri dengan mikroalgae, dan biofuel tersebut adalah biofuel yang akan digunakan oleh industri penerbangan iaitu kapal terbang, dan industri ini boleh dilaksanakan di kampung-kampung kerana the planting of algae can easily be done in tanks of water in the kampung, and the kampung will supply the processing plant with the algae. Secondly, SCDC adalah merupakan rakan kongsi dalam penghasilan hydrogen electrolyzer sebab SCDC dan Petronas merupakan rakan kongsi yang sedang menjalankan uji kaji ataupun research and development di mana terdapat 400 lebih saintis di pusat R&D Petronas, dan salah seorang daripada saintis tersebut adalah merupakan anak Sarawak. Jadi inilah yang merupakan hala tuju industri baru untuk Sarawak. Sekian, terima kasih.
Yang Berhormat Datuk Ding Kong Hing, Meradong.
Thank you, Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker. My question is number 64. Terima kasih Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker. Terima kasih Ahli Yang Berhormat Puan Meradong. As Ahli Yang Berhormat Puan Meradong is fully aware, the existing structures of about 250 meters along the riverfront was not meant to be a waterfront beautification project, but rather a billion retaining wall constructed for the purpose of the protection of the riverbank, which at the same time is also used as a backdrop for the riverfront, housing hawker stalls, lemon sculpture, and open-air market. The conceptual drawing for the redevelopment of the Bintango waterfront has been completed and will be submitted to the Economic Planning Unit Sarawak for approval. Thank you, Yang Berhormat Timbalan Menteri. I have two supplementary questions. Number one, I would like to know what are the components of the proposed project. And number two, what is the estimated development cost? Thank you. Terima kasih sekali lagi. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I will answer question 1 and 2 concurrently. For the information of Ahli Yang Berhormat Puan Meradong, the proposed redevelopment of Bintango waterfront, if it is going to be approved, will indeed be a very ambitious project with an estimated cost of about RM41 million. The proposed project will include the following components. 1, the construction of an extended concrete walkway. Number 2, park and road furnitures, including the necessary facilities and amenities. Number 3, the famous lemon sculpture, which is an icon for Bintango. Number 4, food kiosks. Number 5, safety railings. Number 6, walkway shelter. Number 7, cantilevered gazebo. Number 8, reinforced concrete jetty. Number 9, bus terminal building and car parking bays. Number 10, landscaping. Number 11, SRB's office. Number 12, mini police station. Number 13, one-stop center. Number 14, relocation of the existing petrol kiosk. And number 15, the upgrading of the existing commercial wharf and the existing pontoon. Thank you.
Yang Berhormat Encik Dennis Ngau, Telang Usan.
Yang Hormat Tuan Speaker, terima kasih. Kerusi Parlimen P220 Baram menang bergaya. Soalan telangusan nombor 65. Thank you.
Tuan Speaker, izinkan saya untuk menjawab soalan daripada Ahli Yang Berhormat bagi Telang Usan. Untuk makluman Ahli Yang Berhormat bagi Telang Usan, Kerajaan Sarawak telah menubuhkan Unit Integriti dan Ombudsman Sarawak Unions pada 1 Februari 2018 yang merupakan yang pertama di negara kita Malaysia. Ini antara lain bertujuan untuk membudayakan integriti di kalangan penjawat awam dan masyarakat di seluruh negeri Sarawak, sama ada di bandar maupun luar bandar. Dalam rangka pembudayaan integriti ini, 8 sektor telah dikenal pasti, iaitu agama, sosio budaya, pentadbiran, masyarakat sivil, komuniti, keluarga, politik dan ekonomi. Selaras dengan itu, pelbagai program telah dirangka dan dilaksanakan, antaranya ialah Majlis Amanat Perdana Integriti, Seminar Integriti Kepimpinan Masjid dan Surau, Integrity Go Nature dan Seminar Integrity Interface. Sejak tahun 2018, Kerajaan Sarawak juga telah mengadakan program jelajah integriti di 39 kawasan yang berbeza, termasuk di luar bandar seperti di Tebedek, Sarike, Julau, Pakan, Pusak, Debak, Kapit, Song, Lawas, Sebauh dan sebagainya. Pada tahun 2023 kelak, insya-Allah Kerajaan Sarawak akan meneruskan program ini di seluruh negeri Sarawak, sama ada di bandar maupun di luar bandar, termasuk di kawasan Dewan Undangan Negeri Telang Usan. Pecahan terperinci jumlah peserta dan tempat jelajah integriti adalah seperti berikut. Pada tahun 2018, 12 tempat, seramai 4,830 peserta. 2019, 12 tempat, seramai 4,196 peserta. Tahun 2020, 7 tempat, seramai 1,430 peserta. Tahun 2021, COVID, tidak ada program kecuali program secara Zoom dan online. Pada tahun 2022 sebanyak 13 tempat, seramai 5,314 peserta. Bagi keseluruhan program union sepanjang tahun 2022 berkaitan integriti, sebanyak 56 program telah diadakan yang melibatkan seramai 54,841 peserta. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Timbalan Menteri. Tuan Speaker, saya ada 2 soalan tambahan. Satu, adakah unit integriti dan ombudsman Sarawak, ringkasannya unions, mempunyai rancangan untuk melibatkan orang awam dalam pemantauan penyampaian perkhidmatan atau pelaksanaan projek untuk menunjukkan keseriusan kerajaan GPS berkaitan integriti? Yang kedua, Tuan Speaker, bagaimanakah kerajaan Sarawak boleh menyumbang dalam peningkatan Corruption Perception Index CPI Malaysia secara amnya? Terima kasih Tuan Speaker.
Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, izinkan saya memberi jawapan kepada 2 soalan tambahan. Untuk makluman Ahli Yang Berhormat bagi Telang Usan, penglibatan orang awam dalam pemantauan penyampaian perkhidmatan atau pelaksanaan projek kerajaan telah dilaksanakan. Bahkan kerajaan berhasrat menggiatkannya lagi. Pada mesyuarat pertama bagi penggal keempat Persidangan Dewan Undangan Negeri ke-18 telah dinyatakan bahawa Kerajaan Sarawak melalui Unit Integriti dan Ombudsman Sarawak Unions membuka ruang seluas-luasnya untuk masyarakat umum memberi pandangan yang konstruktif tentang mutu penyampaian perkhidmatan awam Sarawak. Platform ini seharusnya dimanfaatkan sepenuhnya oleh orang awam dengan menyalurkan aduan kepada pihak unions, sama ada secara surat bertulis, email, WhatsApp dan pelbagai cara yang akan dapat dilayan oleh pihak unions. Kerajaan melalui unions juga terus meneroka alternatif lain bagi melibatkan lebih ramai orang awam untuk sama-sama bertanggungjawab dan membantu memantau pelaksanaan projek kerajaan. Oleh itu, projek rintis Community Integrity Building CIB telah kita laksanakan di 4 kawasan pihak berkuasa tempatan pada tahun ini. Program ini merupakan usahasama Unions, Institut Integriti Malaysia IIM, Kementerian Kesihatan Awam, Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan MPHLG, pihak berkuasa tempatan iaitu Dewan Bandaraya Kuching Utara, Majlis Perbandaran Sibu, Majlis Daerah Limbang dan Majlis Daerah Matu dan Daru. Untuk makluman Dewan yang mulia ini, projek CIB ini melibatkan komuniti setempat untuk memantau perkhidmatan yang disediakan oleh pihak berkuasa tempatan. Laporan penilaian keberkesanan CIB akan dikemukakan kepada Kerajaan Sarawak pada 2 Disember 2022 kelak. Bagi soalan kedua yang dikemukakan oleh Ahli Yang Berhormat bagi Telang Usan, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, terdapat 12 kriteria yang digunakan dalam pengukuran Corruption Perception Index CPI. Antaranya ialah the government's commitment to fight corruption. Berdasarkan kriteria tersebut, kesungguhan dan komitmen pucuk pimpinan Sarawak jelas kelihatan melalui program dan inisiatif seperti berikut. Pertama, Majlis Ikrar Bebas Rasuah IBR Kabinet Sarawak diketuai oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Premier Sarawak, di mana Sarawak merupakan negeri yang pertama di Malaysia yang berbuat demikian, iaitu pada 25 Januari 2017 dan sekali lagi pada 27 Januari tahun 2022. Yang kedua, pelantikan menteri ataupun timbalan menteri di Jabatan Premier Sarawak, Integriti dan Ombudsman. Yang ketiga, mewujudkan unit Integriti dan Ombudsman Sarawak Unions. Yang keempat, penempatan pegawai Suruhanjaya Pencegahan Rasuah Malaysia SPRM di Unions. Yang kelima, pentauliahan 166 orang pegawai integriti bertauliah CEIO di 11 kementerian, 18 jabatan, 12 pentadbiran bahagian, 17 pihak berkuasa tempatan dan 29 badan-badan berkanun. Dan ini merupakan bilangan CEIO yang paling ramai di Malaysia berada di negeri Sarawak. Yang ketujuh, penubuhan 38 unit integriti agensi di pelbagai kementerian, jabatan dan pentadbiran bahagian termasuk di UNIMAS. Yang ke-8, penganjuran Majlis Amanat Integriti MEPI pada tahun 2019 di Kuching, tahun 2020 di Miri, 2021 kita COVID tidak ada, dan pada tahun 2022 di Sibu. Yang ke-9, menerima pakai National Anti-Corruption Plan NACP. Yang ke-10, pembangunan Corruption Risk Management Plan CRM oleh 52 agensi dan pelan anti rasuah organisasi OACP oleh 73 agensi di seluruh negeri. Yang ke-11, penguatkuasaan Integrity Pact dalam urusan perolehan kerajaan Sarawak. Dan yang terakhir, yang ke-12, Union juga pada 15 Ogos tahun 2022 telah mengadakan program bersama Transparency International Malaysia TI Malaysia di BCCK bagi program Forum on Anti-Corruption and implementing adequate procedure for corporate and SMEs, Section 17A of the MACC Act 2009 yang dihadiri oleh pelbagai kepimpinan sektor korporat dan SME. Untuk makluman Dewan Yang Mulia ini, inisiatif yang telah dilaksanakan oleh Kerajaan Sarawak akan dipergiatkan lagi untuk menambah baik skor dan kedudukan Malaysia berdasarkan Corruption Perception Index CPI. Terima kasih.
Ahli yang berhormat, question time is up.
Rang Undang-Undang Kerajaan. Bacaan kali yang kedua. Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022. Yang berhormat Timbalan Menteri Perancangan Bandar, Pentadbiran Tanah dan Alam Sekitar dan Adun N41 Kuala Rejang.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yang berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to move that Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022 be read a second time. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, the Amendment Bill, this bill seeks to amend the Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Ordinance 1973, Ordinance number 3 of 1973, STIC Ordinance, to make better provision for the management of the timber industry in Sarawak through the issuance of timber industry license to enable Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation (STIDC) to fully regulate the timber industry, including the establishment and operation of sawmills, which was previously regulated under the Forest Ordinance 2015, Chapter 71. This bill also seeks to add provision to enhance the enforcement powers under the STIC Ordinance. The gist of this, the main amendment sought for in this bill are the following. A, the introduction of timber industry license to replace the requirement of registration for timber industry. B, the introduction of new provision on the temporary permit to operate as a temporary measures to facilitate the timber industry pending the issuance of the timber industry license or for domestic use. C, the introduction of penalty provision for illegal operation of timber mill and other illegal activities in breach of the term and condition of the timber industry license or temporary permit to operate. D, the introduction of provision on cancellation or suspension of timber industry license. And E, the enhancement and strengthening of enforcement power under the ordinance. Timber industry license. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, this bill seeks to empower the General Manager to issue timber industry license on such terms and conditions as may be prescribed by the General Manager. Currently, the STIDC issues certificate of registration pursuant to STIDC Ordinance and sawmill license through delegation of power by Director of Forests under the Forest Ordinance 2015, Chapter 71, and this amendment will delete the provision relating to issuance of certificate of registration and replace it with provision which empower the General Manager of STIDC to issue timber industry license on such terms and conditions as may be imposed by him. This timber industry license would be the sole license issued by STIDC for timber industry activities, including the establishment, building and operating of sawmill. This is intended to clearly demark the role
duties and responsibility between SDRC, Forest Department, and Sarawak Forestry Corporation, SFG, thus streamlining the function of these three agencies under the ministry. The issuance of timber industry license will be a more holistic regulating mechanism to regulate the timber industry in Sarawak. Temporary permit to operate. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, this bill will also seek to allow the issuance of temporary permit to operate by the General Manager of SDRC. The permit is intended to be for the limited period where it is required to facilitate the establishment, building, operating or management of any plant, factories or premises for carrying out any timber industry pending the issuance of timber industry license. The permit will also seek to be issued to those who carry out timber industry for domestic use. For example, rural community can apply for this temporary permit to build houses for their own use where the location is in rural area which is not easily accessible to any mill or construction material supplier. Enforcement. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, this bill proposes to enhance the enforcement power under the SDRC Ordinance. The bill provides steep penalties for those who are found guilty for establishing, building, operating or managing any plant, factories or premises for carrying out any timber industry without timber industry license or temporary permit. Additionally, the bill makes provision for any person arrested for suspicion of committing an offence under the ordinance to be released on personal bond with or without surety. The bill also seeks to enhance the provision relating to offences, prosecution and penalties under Part 7 of the ordinance. These relate to the enforcement power such as power of arrest and investigation, power of entry and search, power of seizure and detention, power to stop, examine and detain timber and timber product. This bill also provides for the provision on the temporary release of seized item as well as penalty for failure to surrender the item on demand by any authorized officer. This bill also introduced the offence of giving false information declaration if the offence is committed by an individual, a fine of not less than 25,000 ringgit and not exceeding 150,000 ringgit, or to be imprisoned not exceeding 7 years, or to both may be imposed, or if the offence is committed by a body corporate, a fine of not less than 250,000 ringgit and not exceeding 1 million ringgit. In summary, the strengthening of provision relating to enforcement is important to ensure adequate provision are available to regulate the timber industry. This will ensure that our timber product will continue to be widely accepted by the global market as it meets consumer requirement for legality compliance. With a target to increase annual export value to 8 billion ringgit by the year 2030, legality issues must be managed well through good governance and effective enforcement activities. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, introduction of this bill is a clear manifestation of the state government's firm commitment towards strengthening the legal and institutional framework for the effective management of our timber industry and to enhance our enforcement capability and to transform the timber industry from a conventional landscape to a value-added and export-oriented industry. I hereby urge all members of this august House to support this bill. I beg to move. Thank you.
Another minister to second.
Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to second.
I now call upon honourable members who wish to participate in the debate on this bill. Any member who should speak? Member for Tamin.
Members, Tan Sri Pertama Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity to address and participate on the debate of the Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Bill 2022, tabled by Deputy Honourable Minister Haji Datuk Len Haji Talib and also Honourable Member for N41 Kuala Rajang. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our Sarawak government and the ministry and in charge for stepping up its effort to protect our Sarawak forests in order to minimize the effect of climate change. Recognizing the climate change poses a threat to mankind, the Sarawak government under the leadership of our honourable member Yang Amat Berhormat Premier of Sarawak undertaken various initiatives in achieving a balance between economic development and conservation and nature for the sake of sustainable development. Tan Sri Pertama Speaker, I applauded the Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Bill 2022, especially on the enforcement provision proposed bills to enhance the enforcement powers under the STIDC ordinance. The bill provides step penalties for those who are found guilty of establishing, building, operating, or managing any plant, factory, or premises for carrying out any timber industry without timber industry license or temporary permit. The amendment to the bill, this bill is one of the initiatives, is our effort to continue combating illegal logging in the state, which can bring many negative impacts of the economy, environment, and society. Tan Sri Pertama Speaker, the total protected area (TPA) within the heart of Borneo is rich with flora and fauna and has a high potential in ecotourism activity. Our Sarawak government recognizes the importance of this highland, which area vast in highlands. The government need to work closely with strong cooperation to assist protecting forests in the area as well as preserving water catchment area, river, and combating illegal logging. Maintaining a healthy forest in the part of the world means we are a powerful position to minimize climate change, which is now a global issue. Mr. Speaker, the huge task here is in the implementation of our enforcement. I in full support of the STIDC Bill 2022 to enhance the provision relating to the offence, persecution, and penalties under Part 4 of the ordinance. This relates to the enforcement power, such as power of arrest, investigation, power of entry, search, power of searches, and detention, power to stop, detain timber, and detain timber product. We hope with the enforcement, there will be no room for illegal logging in the state, and our Sarawak government priority to transform Sarawak into a respected producer of certified tropical timber can be achieved. It is our hope that investigation into the illegal forest destruction cases should be quickened, volunteer, strictly punished. Our enforcement forest agency need to be examined, evaluate the entry natural forest area under this management, so the promptly detect, prevent, strictly handle any acts of enforcement, encouragement of our forest land, according to the directive. Mr. Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity to praise our Yang Amat YAB Premier of Sarawak for his operation to turn Sarawak globally recognized in the sustainable management of tropical forests and biodiversity which for promoting is the timber industry. Our Sarawak Premier had put aside of 6.5 million ringgit under the Sarawak budget for the conservation and protection of the wildlife and totally protect area TPS. This is a commitment by our Sarawak Premier. Therefore, I'm giving fully support to Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Bill 2022. Thank you.
Member for Ballingan.
Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, thank you for allowing me the floor to support the Sarawak Timber Industry Development Amendment Bill 2022, which was tabled by Timbalan Menteri Perancangan Bandar, Pentadbiran Tanah dan Alam Sekitar dan ADUN N51 Kuala Rajang. First of all, I would like to congratulate SIDC for coming up with this amendment bill. This amendment are in line with the aspiration of the state post-COVID-19 development strategy 2030 PCSD 2030 on economic prosperity, environmental sustainability, social inclusivity, digital innovation, and green economy. Under the PCSDS 2030, forestry sector is one of the economic sectors identified by the state to achieve the aspiration of Sarawak as a developed state by the year 2030. In this regard, the timber industry is to increase its export earning to an annual export value of RM 8 billion by the year 2030 through production of high value-added product. This bill will streamline the power function of the three agencies, namely STIDC, Forest Department, and Sarawak Forest Corporation, SFC. There should be a distinctive separation of power where STIDC should regulate and facilitate the downstream industry. Forest Department will be in charge of the upstream activities, while SFC's role will be centered on wildlife and conservation. The PCDS 2030 calls for modernization and efficiency in the service delivery to optimize productivity for the benefit and satisfaction of stakeholders. With this bill, STIDC will be one-stop agency in relation to downstream industry, from issuance of license for mill operation until the issuance of export and import permit. This would create ease of doing business for timber industry, as they would only need to get the license and permit from just one agency instead of multiple agencies. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, the bill also seeks to give power to the General Manager of STIDC to issue temporary permit to operate as a temporary measure to facilitate the timber industry while waiting for the issuance of timber industry license or for domestic use, which mean any use for the purpose of construction, repair or extension of dwelling house, or making furniture or other goods and utensils to be used in the dwelling house and not for sale, barter or profit. This temporary permit is to be used by the General Manager for a limited period of time to facilitate the processing activities. The permit would also be issued to those who carry out timber industry for domestic use. For example, rural community can apply for the temporary permit to build houses for own use where the location is in rural areas, which is not accessible to any mill or construction material supplier. Tan Sri Dr. Ahmad Speaker, this bill will strengthen STIDC roles and function to achieve the goal which has been set under PCDS 2030. This amendment bill is timely and become an effective enabler to achieve the target by introducing laws and policies which regulate and facilitate the timber industry in this transformation journey. I therefore support this bill. Thank you.
Member for Pujuk. Member for Lingga.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan salam Sarawakku sayang. First, I would like to thank Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker for giving me the opportunity to participate in the debate on Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, referring to the statement on the Wikipedia page, Sarawak Bumi Kenyalang is the largest state in Malaysia which is famous for its hills, rivers, national parks, protected animals such as proboscis monkeys, hornbills, sunbears, and even has the oldest rainforest in Malaysia. This privilege is one of the factors that make Sarawak the focal eye of tourists from all over the world. However, without persistent efforts to preserve the beauty of this environment, perhaps the next generation will not be able to enjoy the beauty that Sarawak has now. For this reason, Yang Amat Berhormat Premier has highlighted this matter in the last GE 15 GPS manifesto, which is to preserve and protect the environment for the present and future generations. Therefore, today's bill will fulfill the promise of the GE 15 GPS manifesto. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, in the amendment of the 22 bill, Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Part 2A Section 5B Bracket 1 asserts 8 rules that can cause cancellation of suspension of timber industry license, which are: number 1, the license has failed to pay the prescribed fees made under this ordinance. Second, the license has contravened any provisions of this ordinance. Third, the license has failed to comply with any terms and conditions specified in the timber industry license. Fourth, the license has failed to comply with any written discretion given by the General Manager. Fifth, the license has done any act specified in Section 27B. Sixth, it is in the public interest to do so. Or 7, the license has been suspected to breach of an offence and is under investigation. And 8, the license has been convicted of any offence under this ordinance or its regulations or any other written laws. Throughout these 8 rules, it shows the firmness towards timber license holders not to arbitrarily use the license to explore forests in Sarawak openly without limits. According to a Borneo Post News report on November 17, 2021, the Sarawak government continues to increase monitoring, including from the air and on the ground, to combat illegal logging activities in the state, and the importance of cooperation between residents and the state government in channeling information so that illegal lodging activities in the state of Sarawak can be combated more efficiently. In relation to that, referring to Part 2A, Section 5D, bracket 1B, also confirms the actions and penalties imposed on any temporary permit holder who violates the rules and regulations subsequently, which penalty can be imposed as much as not less than Ringgit Malaysia 1 million and not exceeding Ringgit Malaysia 10 million, or imprisonment not exceeding 7 years, and in the case of continuing offence, a further fine of not exceeding 5,000 ringgit for each day during which the offence continues after conviction. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, clearly in this bill, it shows that our state government is very concerned about issues involving reserve forests and lodging activities in the state of Sarawak. As we already know, the whole world is now facing the climate change crisis, causing the water level to be higher than usual, and this can be witnessed through several cases, like including flash floods and overflows that affect some areas, especially in coastal areas. Referring to the news report on the Malay Mail website on October 25, 2022, the Prime Minister of Sarawak intends to make the state a regional renewable energy center. He also stated that Sarawak's renewable hydropower will be one of the main engines to achieve the climate goal of transitioning from electricity generation that produce carbon dioxide to carbon-free generation. The lower levelized cost of energy from renewable hydropower also benefits Sarawak's domestic, industrial and export customers by providing them with affordable, reliable and sustainable electricity. In fact, the most competitive in the region. This is the struggle brought by GPS and Premier of Sarawak, who always emphasize the balance of the state, not only in the aspect of welfare, development and economy, but the aspect of environmental stability is also prioritized. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, before I get into my debate, I would like to share a quote from Rachel Carson in her writings, Silent Spring. The more clearly we can focus our attention on the wonder and reality of the universe about us, the less we sense destruction. Therefore, I hereby fully support the Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022. Thank you.
Member for Darul.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan salam sahabatku sayang. Terima kasih Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker kerana telah memberi peluang kepada saya untuk terlibat dalam membahas rang undang-undang Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Ordinance Amendment Bill 2022 yang telah dibentangkan oleh Yang Berhormat Dato' Haji Len Talib Saleh, Timbalan Menteri Perdagangan Bandar, Perdagangan Tanah dalam Sekitar dan Ahli Dewan Negeri bagi N41 Kuala Rejang. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, pindaan terhadap rang undang-undang Timber Industry Development Corporation Ordinance Amendment Bill 2022 adalah selaras dengan peranan dan fungsi baharu STIDC dalam memperkasakan bidang penguasaan undang-undang yang berkaitan dengan industri perkayuan. Ini adalah selari dengan aspirasi kerajaan di bawah Post-COVID Development Plan PCDS 2030, di mana industri perkayuan akan meningkatkan nilai ekspor tahunan sebanyak RM8 bilion pada tahun 2030 melalui produk yang mempunyai nilai tambah yang tinggi. Oleh itu, untuk merealisasikan hasrat ini, maka pindaan ke atas rang undang-undang yang sedia ada, iaitu Ordinans tahun 1973 bagi Sarawak Timber Development Corporation Ordinance 1973, Ordinance number 3 of 1973, ini perlu dilaksanakan atas sebab-sebab berikut. Pertama, untuk mengawal selia industri pembalakan termasuklah operasi kilang-kilang kayu ataupun sawmill yang sebelum ini tertakluk di bawah Ordinans Hutan 2015 Chapter 71. Dan yang kedua, bagi memasukkan peruntukan undang-undang yang menyeluruh untuk mengukuhkan dan menambah baik sudut penguasaan dalam Ordinans tahun 1973 ini. Terima Dato' Ahmad Speaker, apa yang saya dapati di antara pindaan yang signifikan adalah pemansuhan syarat untuk pendaftaran di bawah Part 2A, Section 5A, 5B, 5C, 5D dan 5E sebelum ini. Yang kini ingin ditukar dengan meletakkan syarat kilang-kilang ini hendaklah memohon lesen, timber industry lesen yang akan dikeluarkan selaras dengan Section 5A yang baru ini nanti. Kalau dulunya hanya melibatkan sijil pendaftaran sahaja, tetapi sekarang ianya akan meletakkan syarat yang memerlukan lesen, yang mana didapati medium pemberian lesen ini lebih menyeluruh dengan adanya syarat-syarat lesen yang wajib dipatuhi oleh kilang-kilang ini nanti. Terima Dato' Ahmad Speaker, selain itu, dengan pindaan rang undang-undang ini juga mempunyai mekanisme kawalan yang ketat dengan adanya peruntukan berkenaan penguasaan, kesalahan-kesalahan dan hukuman jika kilang-kilang beroperasi tanpa lisens atau permit sementara. Penguasaan contohnya menambah baik Section 28 yang akan memberi kuasa penyiasatan kepada pegawai penyiasat seperti mana kuasa-kuasa yang peruntukan dalam kanun acara jenayah. Di samping itu, penambahbaikan juga dibuat berkenaan kuasa pemberian kompaun di bawah Section 31, di mana pindaan ini juga membutuhkan dan memperkukuhkan prosedur penguasaan dengan memasukkan peruntukan-peruntukan yang lazim dalam menjalankan penguasaan yang lebih menyeluruh seperti contoh dalam Section 35 yang baru. Berkenaan temporary release of item seized dan Section 36 yang baru berkenaan power to stop, examine and detain timber and timber product. Penambahbaikan ini sudah pasti memperkasakan lagi pengurusan, penyeliaan, penguasaan industri pembalakan termasuk operasi kilang-kilang kayu di negeri ini. Walau bagaimanapun, bagi memastikan rang undang-undang ini dapat dilaksanakan dengan efisien dan efektif, maka adalah disyorkan agar pihak ekstradisi perlulah bersedia terutamanya memantapkan bahagian pelesenan dan penguasaan dari semasa ke semasa. Tidak ada gunanya kita mempunyai rang undang-undang yang baik tetapi tidak dilaksanakan dan dikuasakan dengan baik, di mana pelaksanaan dan penguasaannya begitu lemah. Maka ianya tiada bermakna dan menjadi suatu yang sia-sia sahaja. Terima kasih Speaker. Secara keseluruhannya, saya dapati pindaan ini adalah penting dalam memastikan Ordinans Sarawak Timber Development Corporation ini lebih menyeluruh dan tidak dipandang ringan oleh pihak-pihak yang tidak bertanggungjawab yang membina kilang-kilang haram demi kepentingan sendiri. Therefore, legality issues must be taken seriously and there is an increased need to curb illegal activities in downstream industries through enhancing our enforcement capabilities and introductions of several penalties as deterrents measured in order to secure global market acceptance. Malah, medium pemberian lesen juga akan memberikan kawalan yang menyeluruh dengan syarat-syarat yang wajib dipatuhi berbanding kaedah pendaftaran sebelum ini. Dengan adanya pindaan rang undang-undang ini juga sudah pasti akan memberi nilai tambah khususnya kepada penjanaan ekonomi dan kepada rakyat dan juga masa depan Sarawak. Terima kasih Bapak Speaker. Oleh demikian, saya mohon untuk menyokong penuh Sarawak Timber Industries Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022 ini. Sekian, terima kasih.
Member for Jepang.
Terima kasih Dato' Ahmad, Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker. I'll be brief because a lot of things I wanted to say have been said. I rise to support the amendment.
You can take your mask.
The reason being,
Remember, you can take your mask.
thank you. The reason being, the industry has to be more orderly. We are facing international competition. We have to do it right. Thus, empowering the General Manager of STIDC, as on page 11, empowering him to stop activities. We have seen before this orderly industry in the middle of the jungle, no license, no nothing, illegal sawmill. We have to stop all that. We have given guns. We have given planes, but we see disorderliness of the industry. So I'd like to support the amendment, the Section 2 and Section 5. Thank you very much.
Any other member wish to speak? Member for Angklili.
Terima kasih Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Datuk Amar Speaker kerana telah mengizinkan saya untuk membahaskan rang undang-undang STIDC Amendment Bill 2022 yang telah dibentangkan oleh kawan karib saya Adun bagi 41 Kuala Rejang, Timbalan Menteri Perancangan Bandar, Pentadbiran Tanah dan Alam Sekitar. Tahniah Yang Berhormat Datuk, ini sudah tak ada suara lagi tapi masih menyokong bil ini. Ya, saya ingin merujuk Seksyen 5C Bracket 1B iaitu Extension of Temporary Permit ataupun memberi permit sementara membina kilang kayu ataupun timah mil bagi kegunaan domestik. Pembinaan kayu timah mil secara kecil-kecilan small scale untuk memproses kayu demi kegunaan domestik terdapat di kawasan luar bandar. Kebanyakan mereka telah beroperasi sekian lama tetapi sukar untuk mereka mendapatkan permit sementara walaupun mereka telah mohon berkali-kali daripada pihak STIDC. Kejutan kilang untuk memproses kayu kegunaan domestik amatlah diteruskan bagi kawasan luar bandar. Masyarakat luar bandar memerlukan kilang-kilang kecil untuk mendapatkan sumber kayu sebagai kegunaan membina rumah. Contohnya rumah panjang, kampung dan sebagainya. Ini disebabkan sumber keluaran mereka adalah terhad untuk mendapatkan sumber kayu. Malah kos untuk membeli hasil kayu yang telah diproses dari kilang kecil adalah lebih murah berbanding daripada mereka membeli di kilang besar. Oleh demikian, saya ingin merayu kepada pihak STIDC supaya membantu kilang-kilang kecil yang sedia ada di kawasan luar bandar untuk mendapatkan permit sementara supaya mereka dapat terus beroperasi untuk kebaikan masyarakat di kawasan luar bandar. Setelah dipahamkan oleh mereka bahawa pihak STIDC amatlah kurang perhatian terhadap permohonan mereka untuk mendapatkan permit selama ini, saya khawatir Seksyen 5 Bracket C 1 Bracket 1 Bracket B akan digunakan untuk menghalang atau menutup kilang-kilang kecil yang sedia ada di kawasan luar bandar untuk beroperasi. Proses untuk mohon permit sementara adalah terlalu rumit dan ini menyukarkan serta membebankan mereka, di mana permohonan mereka perlu dibawa kepada Jawatankuasa Industrial Coordination Committee atau ICC untuk mendapatkan kelulusan. Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Datuk Amar Speaker, saya merayu kepada pihak STIDC agar membantu mereka untuk mendapatkan permit sementara dan tidak menghalang mereka untuk mendapatkan permit sementara tersebut. Kerajaan harus memahami keperluan kilang-kilang kayu kecil di di kawasan luar bandar atas keperluan mereka, iaitu untuk tujuan domestic use saja, bukan untuk tujuan operasi secara komersial. Dengan ini saya menyokong 100% kawan baik saya bil yang telah Yang Berhormat bentangkan ini. Sekian, terima kasih.
Any other member wishes to speak? Honorable Muhammad, we have a short break. Sitting resumes at 11:20.
Terima kasih Datuk Ahmad Tan Sri Speaker. Terlebih dulu, saya ingin merakamkan ucapan terima kasih pada ahli-ahli yang berhormat daripada N59 Tamin, N58 Balengian, N28 Lingga, N43 Daro, N67 Jepak dan N33 Engkelili yang telah membahas dan memberi sokongan terhadap usul pindaan terhadap rang Undang-Undang Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022. Saya juga amat menghargai segala cadangan dan idea-idea bernas yang telah dikemukakan semasa pembahasan yang sudah tentunya akan dapat membantu kerajaan negeri dalam melaksana dan menguatkuasakan pindaan Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022 ini. Pihak STIDC akan memperkukuhkan pelaksanaan seperti apa yang termaktub dalam pindaan ini, terutama sekali dalam usaha untuk meningkatkan lagi industri hilaran sejajar dengan fungsi STIDC, iaitu to spearhead the development of timber industry in Sarawak. Pemindahan kuasa pengeluaran lesen untuk timber mill dari pengarah Jabatan Hutan kepada pengurus besar pusaka adalah sesuatu tepat pada masanya, dan ini akan membolehkan pihak STIDC meningkatkan lagi koordinasi dan keberkesanan pembangunan perindustrian perkayuan, khususnya industri hiliran. Apatah lagi kerajaan masa ini menekankan kepada high value added timber products. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat N43 Daro, STIDC memang sudah mempunyai pasukan yang mencukupi dan berpengalaman untuk melaksanakan operasi pengurusan dan penguatkuasaan industri bagi mematuhi pindaan ordinan ini. STIDC juga akan meneruskan kerjasama dengan agensi penguatkuasaan lain dalam memantapkan lagi aktiviti penguatkuasaan ini. Untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat N33 Engkelidi, kawan lama saya, masih ada situ. Di bawah klausa 5C-1, pengurus besar STIDC diberi kuasa untuk mengeluarkan permit sementara untuk memproses barangan kayu untuk kegunaan komuniti tempatan. Ini akan mempercepatkan pengeluaran permit sementara asalkan ianya mematuhi syarat-syarat yang ditetapkan. Dalam masa yang sama, penguatkuasaan akan dapat dipertingkatkan. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, once again I would like to thank all members of this august House for the support and to pass this bill. Thank you.
Ahli yang berhormat, the question before the DEWAN is that the motion standing in the order paper in the name of the Honourable Deputy Minister for Urban Planning, Land Administration and Environment and Honourable Member for N41 Kuala Rajang be passed and referred to the Committee of the whole House. As many as opinions say yes, as many contrary opinions say no, the yes have it. The motion is passed and referred to the Committee of the whole House. The DEWAN shall now resolve into the Committee of the whole House to consider the bill which stands committed to the committee. The DEWAN shall now consider the Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022.
Clauses 1 to 15.
The question is that clauses 1 to 15 be ordered to stand part of the bill. As many as are of the opinion say yes. As many as are contrary opinion say no, the yes have it. Clauses 1 to 15 are ordered to stand part of the bill.
Enacting clauses and title.
The DEWAN shall now resume. Honorable Deputy Minister.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih, Dato' Ahmad Speaker. I wish to report that the Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022 has been considered by the Committee of the Whole House and agreed to without amendment. Thank you.
Rang Undang-Undang Kerajaan. Bacaan kali yang ketiga. Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022. Yang Berhormat Timbalan Menteri Perancangan Bandar, Pentadbiran Tanah dan Alam Sekitar dan Adun N41 Kuala Rejang.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to move that Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022 be now read the third time and do pass. Thank you.
Ahli yang berhormat, the question before the DEWAN is that the Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022 be read a third time and do pass. As many as the opinions say yes, as many contrarians say no, the yes have it. The bill is read a third time and pass.
Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022. Rang Undang-Undang Kerajaan. Bacaan kali yang kedua. Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022. Yang Berhormat Menteri Industri Makanan, Komoditi dan Pembangunan Wilayah dan Adun N69 Kemenang.
Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to move a bill entitled the Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022 and provide matters connected therewith and incidental thereto to be read a second time. This bill seeks to provide amendments to the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999. One is to allow the State Veterinary Authority to delegate its function and duties to any public officer. And second is to allow the authorization of other persons by the State Veterinary Authority to dispense the veterinary drugs. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, as we all know, about 2 years ago, there was an outbreak of rabies. And of course, to be exact, 1st July 2017, when the first case in Siaran was detected. Up to now, there are about 72 areas in the state have been declared as rabies-infected areas. The number of human rabies cases now stands at 51, and 44 has succumbed to the disease. So it is a very serious matter that the state need to look into. So therefore, Sarawak has recently established the Immune Belt Enforcement Team, IBET in short, under Sarawak Security and Enforcement Unit on the 22nd June 2020, IBET will play a significant role to complement the Department of Veterinary Services Sarawak in its rabies control and conducting awareness program among the communities. As of now, they are just empowered to do the control by doing awareness program. Currently, there is no existing provisions in the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999 to authorize and give due power to the IBET officers for vaccinations of dogs, dispensing of veterinary drugs. So therefore, it's proposed to amend that there will be given a legal authority and power to any person, especially IBET officers from Sarawak Security Enforcement Unit, in performing their tasks and responsibilities of dispensing of veterinary drugs and also including vaccination as stipulated in Section 57 Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999. So this just to add into the power given not only for the council but also for the new IBET officers to be able to dispense veterinary drugs and vaccination. So the formations of IBET, we have 32 officers, and this can be used to strengthen our fight against rabies. So the team will assist Department of Veterinary Services Sarawak to cover the whole length of Sarawak-Kalimantan border, especially vaccinating dogs in some 1,000 settlements and villages along the border, thus providing an effective strategy in preventing the spread of rabies in the rural areas. The GPS government, being a responsible government, we not only enhance our development of the state, but we are also protecting our people from all diseases and other calamities. So, that was, Honourable Speaker, the role be played by these IBET officers is indeed very timely, and as we are actually short of manpower and DVSS, which is Department of Veterinary Services Sarawak. So the amendment of this bill is very significant as to allow authorizations of IBET officers to play the role to assist the Department of Veterinary Services Sarawak to administer vaccination and carry out the relevant statutory functions and duties of the State of Veterinary Authority to effectively eradicate rabies in Sarawak. Dato' Sri Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I therefore beg to move.
Another minister to second.
Okay. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you. Any honourable ministers, sorry, any honourable members who wish to speak on the bill, participate in the debate on the bill? Any members? If not, I shall call upon the honourable minister to do his winding up. Member for Tabaduk.
Thank you very much, Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker. Terlebih dahulu saya ingin mengucapkan tahniah dan syabas kepada Yang Berhormat Dato' Sri Menteri Industri Makanan, Komoditi dan Pembangunan Wilayah Sarawak M. kerana telah berjaya membentangkan pindaan kepada Ordinan Kesihatan Awam Veterina 1999 bagi membolehkan Jabatan Perkhidmatan Veterina Sarawak ataupun JPVS dan juga Unit Keselamatan dan Penguatkuasaan Sarawak UKPS untuk bekerjasama membasmi rabies menjelang tahun 2025. Sebagai seorang doktor haiwan yang berdaftar di Malaysia, saya sangat prihatin dengan perkembangan dalam bidang veterina di Sarawak. Veterina memainkan peranan yang amat penting untuk membangun industri ternakan, kesihatan awam veterina dan mencegah penyakit serta merawat penyakit haiwan. Jabatan Perkhidmatan Veterina Sarawak merupakan salah satu agensi yang penting di bawah Kementerian Industri Makanan, Komoditi dan Pembangunan Wilayah Sarawak, di mana ia diwujudkan pada tahun 2017. Sebelum ini, perkhidmatan veterina adalah hanya satu bahagian di bawah Jabatan Pertanian Sarawak yang dikenali sebagai bahagian veterina. Selain program pembangunan ternakan, JPVS dipertanggungjawab untuk memberikan perkhidmatan veterina, kesihatan veterina dan menguatkuasakan Ordinan Kesihatan Awam Veterina 1999 walaupun dengan bilangan staf hanya seramai 243 termasuk kerani dan pemandu. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, dengan adanya pindaan Ordinan Kesihatan Veterina Awam ini, ianya akan membolehkan pasukan khas Immune Belt Enforcement Team ataupun IBET yang ditubuhkan di bawah Unit Keselamatan dan Penguatkuasaan Sarawak UKPS bagi membantu Jabatan Perkhidmatan Veterina Sarawak untuk menjalankan aktiviti kawalan penyakit haiwan berjangkit melalui sempadan di antara Sarawak dengan Kalimantan yang dikenali sebagai Immune Belt ataupun jaluran pemampan. Inisiatif penubuhan IBET adalah langkah yang konkret ke arah menangani penularan wabak rabies serta membantu JPVS mengawal wabak penyakit African Swine Fever di pendalaman secara sistematik dan berkesan. Dalam masa yang sama, pasukan ini dapat membantu Sarawak mengekalkan status bebas penyakit kuku dan mulut ataupun foot and mouth disease, di mana status ini membolehkan Sarawak mengekspor haiwan dan produk haiwan dengan nilai melebihi 300 juta setahun. Sekiranya penyakit ini gagal dibendung, ianya boleh menjejaskan ekonomi Sarawak. Sebanyak 32 tim IBET ini akan ditempatkan di sepanjang 1032 km di sepanjang sempadan Sarawak Kalimantan. Di semenanjung Malaysia terdapat juga pewujudan Immune Belt di sempadan Thailand Malaysia yang dikendalikan oleh Jabatan Perkhidmatan Veterina Malaysia, tetapi tidaklah sebegitu komprehensif seperti IBET di Sarawak. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, selain pengawalan sempadan, kerjasama dan kolaborasi yang berterusan bersama Jabatan Kesihatan Negeri Sarawak ataupun JKNS amatlah penting dalam pengurusan Integrated Bite Case Management, di mana kes gigitan haiwan dilaporkan kepada JPVS. Dengan adanya IBET untuk membantu JPVS, kita dapat memastikan bahawa setiap gigitan diambil tindakan segera serta mengelakkan penyakit ini untuk meragut lebih banyak nyawa di Sarawak. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, penularan wabak rabies di Sarawak adalah serius sehinggalah pada tahun 2017 pihak berkuasa telah diisytiharkan wabak tersebut sebagai bencana tahap 2 ataupun level 2 disaster seperti yang termaktub dalam arahan Majlis Keselamatan Negara nombor 20 yang diwajibkan semua agensi kerajaan menggunakan sumber-sumber secara bersepadu untuk membendung penularannya. Sejak 2017 sehingga kini, seramai 46 nyawa terkorban dari 52 mangsa rabies. Manakala tahun 2022 sahaja terdapat 8 nyawa terkorban dari 12 kes. Rabies boleh dikawal sekiranya 70% populasi anjing di Sarawak disuntik vaksin rabies. Mangsa yang digigit perlu mendapat rawatan segera di hospital. Jangan tunggu gejala timbul baru nak ke hospital, ianya sudah terlambat. Operasi serta kolaborasi pembanterasan wabak rabies melalui vaksinasi, kempen kesedaran dan targeted stray dog population control perlulah diperhebatkan. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, penerusan kolaborasi JPVS dengan Kementerian Kesihatan Awam, Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan Sarawak ataupun MPHLG juga penting, di mana pihak berkuasa tempatan dengan unit pelesenan dan pengawalan anjing untuk melesenkan serta microchipping bagi mengawal dan mengurus populasi anjing serta melakukan targeted removal di kawasan bandar dan perumahan di bawah seliaan masing-masing. Selain itu, unit komunikasi awam Sarawak UKAS perlu giat menyebarkan maklumat tentang kesedaran penyakit rabies. Dengan kempen kesedaran yang berterusan di kalangan masyarakat, ini dapat membantu kita untuk mencegah penyakit-penyakit haiwan berjangkit yang lain memasuki sempadan kita. Oleh demikian, saya ingin menyeru kepada semua agar kerjasama dan kolaborasi ini dapat dipergiatkan lagi dengan adanya Immune Belt Enforcement Team ataupun IBET untuk membantu dan diberi kuasa untuk kawal penularan wabak rabies serta penyakit haiwan berjangkit lain di kawasan sempadan dan menjurus kepada Sarawak bebas rabies menjelang 2025 dapat direalisasikan bersama dengan adanya pindaan kepada Ordinan Kesihatan Awam Veterina 1999. Delegation of functions and duties by the State Veterinary Authority ataupun SVA under Section 6. The SVA may, with the approval of the Minister, by instrument in writing, delegate to any veterinary officer or any health inspector in local authority or any public officers subject to such conditions and restrictions specified in the instrument of delegation. Under Section 57, in bracket 1, a person who is authorized in writing by the State Veterinary Authority or SVA, we refer to Director of Veterinary Services or DVS Sarawak. Jika kawalan sempadan tiada, ianya akan menjejaskan kesihatan masyarakat di Sarawak, keselamatan makanan ataupun food security dan ekonomi Sarawak. Oleh yang demikian, saya setuju dengan idea penubuhan agensi baru iaitu Sarawak Quarantine and Inspection Services ataupun SAKIS di bawah M5 Code untuk membantu Jabatan Veterina, Jabatan Pertanian dan Jabatan Perikanan untuk bergabung menjaga ICQS di Biawak, di Tebeduk, di Sungai Tujuh dan di lapangan terbang. SAKIS ini serupa dengan MAKIS di Semenanjung di bawah MAFI. Penubuhannya akan menyelesaikan masalah kekangan staf veterina dan pertanian yang kritikal serta dapat fokus dengan tugasan dan dapat saling membantu IBET. Saya ingin menyarankan agar Kerajaan Sarawak menambah jawatan veterina dari 290 pelbagai grade kepada sekurang-kurangnya 1,000 orang agar dapat menyaingi DVS Sabah yang mempunyai lebih 750 staf untuk mengawal penyakit, tugas regulatory dan pembangunan industri ternakan. I hereby support the amendments to the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999 to allow, firstly, SVA or Director of DVS Sarawak to delegate its function and duties to any public officer, and secondly, the authorization of other person by the State Veterinary Authority or Director of DVS Sarawak to handle veterinary biologics, example, administration of vaccines to canines and felines. With that, Yang Amat Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to support. Thank you very much.
Member for Batu Ketang.
Thank you, Honorable Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity to debate on the Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022. First and foremost, I wish to congratulate the Minister for Food Industry, Commodity and Regional Development Sarawak, Yang Berhormat for N69 Kemenah for successfully tabling this proposed Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022. This bill is a proposed amendment to Section 57(1)(1) of the Public Health Ordinance 1999, Caption 32, with insertion of clause bracket C, a person who is authorized in writing by the State Veterinary Authority. The amendments of this aforesaid ordinance will give legal authority and empowerment to any person, especially the Sarawak Security and Enforcement Unit, UPKS, officers in performing their tasks and responsibilities of dispensing veterinary drugs. The original source of rabies outbreak in Sarawak is suspected to have originated from neighboring West Kalimantan in Indonesia, with a large rabies outbreak having occurred in those areas. And the first casualty by the virus in Sarawak was reported on the 4th of July, 2017 in our Syrian division. One of the main causes of the spread of rabies is a result from irresponsible dog owners moving dogs out from rabies-infected areas without movement permit from the State Veterinary Authority. And in early 2019, the Sarawak government launched a sweeping operation to enable all government agencies, including Padawan Municipal Council, to pool resources in a concerted effort to mobilize and to contain the spread of the disease, with vaccination and removal of stray dogs and cats through phases. On the 22nd of December 2019, our Honourable Member for Bukit Saban, the Chairman of our State Disaster Management Committee, declared the establishment of Immune Belt Enforcement Team, IBET, under UPKS as a new initiative to curb rabies spreading. A total ban on the movement of dogs both in and out of Sarawak along its border with Kalimantan was imposed to curb the spread of this virus. Our State Security and Enforcement Unit was established on the 22nd of June 2017 based on the directive and approval of Majlis MESYUARAT Kerajaan Negeri. And in order to enhance the state security, its roles and functions was further expanded, which led to the formation of IBET, mainly to provide assistance to veterinary department in an effort to take charge of the border in rabies control under UPKS. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, IBET has been duly appointed and authorized in writing by the State Veterinary Authority for the purpose of execution of various tasks, which includes the enforcement and conduct on the dispensing of veterinary drugs, to conduct vaccination of dogs, and to conduct surveillance and monitoring of dogs, as well as at any time and circumstances to conduct and perform their tasks and responsibilities on rabies and other infectious disease control. Deployment of trained IBET officers in assisting veterinary department will maximize the coverage of rabies detection and surveillance program along our approximately 1,032 kilometers Sarawak Kalimantan border in a well-organized manner under UPKS. The agile deployment of IBET officers in all rabies-related operations will help the GPS government and agencies in combating other infectious disease as well. The availability of UPKS manpower resources will be able to strengthen the capacity and effectiveness of operation conducted and at the same time which could be utilized to an optimum level. Interagencies collaboration and cooperation will enhance and strengthen enforcement effectiveness. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, on the 26th of September 2022, IBET was officially launched by the Premier of Sarawak, and this initiative is part of the GPS government's comprehensive strategy to control the spread of rabies disease and to reduce the casualties. This amendment to empower UPKS officer in the fight against rabies is very timely indeed. Due to DVS Sarawak's lack of manpower, the amendment of the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance is timely and will allow IBET to assist DVS to contain this disease. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to support the Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022, tabled by the Honourable Member for Kemenah. Thank you.
Thank you,
Member
Mr.
for
Speaker,
Paduman.
for giving me this opportunity to debate on the Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022. While a few members have spoken on the rabies issue, I would like to touch on the African swine flu issue. That is, I believe, also under the jurisdiction of the Veterinary Public Health Ministry. And yeah, the first of the case of African swine flu was detected in 2021, around June. That was in Limbang, the northern side of the Sarawak. And thereafter, when it was announced, the honourable ministers informed the public that it was under control. But subsequently, 6 months later, it was spread to the central region. And likewise, minister has informed the public that it was under control. Then subsequently, a few months later, such African swine flu was also detected in the southern region of the state. It seems that though there are claims that it has been under control, but in fact the whole of Sarawak is infected with all the pig farms. Most of the pig farms from the northern region to the southern region has detected the African swine flu, and that has caused a lot of damage and loss to the pig farming industry. I was, according to the statement by the Honourable Minister, I think more than 100 more than 15,000 pigs were caught. That was sometime middle of this year, and that as I visit the markets, I receive feedback from the hawkers selling pork, saying that there's a huge, there's a serious shortage of supply in pork, and that is also one of the reasons why the price of pork has increased many times over the last 1 year. So far, it seems that the measures taken to control the spread of the African swine flu has not been very effective, and that the pig farming industries are facing a lot of challenges due to the flu, and that they are seeking help from the government to be more generous in helping this affected farm. Now, my few questions that I would like to raise on this issue is that up to date, what is the status of this African swine flu control in the state? Whether it has been eliminated, or are there still pockets of areas where the African swine flu can be, are detected in the state? Number two, how many pig farms were affected, and as a result of which closed down, and that the total loss suffered by this by the industry? And to date, what have the government done to help these affected pig farms, not only the farmers, but also those downstream, like the hawkers who are involved in this industry and where their livelihood are affected? What are the measures or helps, assistance that have been rendered by the government? And lastly, the question is on the recovery of this industry. What is the projected period and time for the recovery of this pig farming industry to the pre-African swine flu time? And yeah, there's so much on the African swine flu, and on the spread of the rabies and the amendment that is sought for in this amendment bill. I noticed that if we look at the principal ordinance, section 6, which this bill sought to, which this bill seeks to amend. In fact, if you read the section 6 of the principal ordinance, it provides the authority and power to those any veterinary officers or health inspector in the service of the local authority to carry out the powers and the duties under the state veterinary authorities. Right. Now, when you talk about the duties of the veterinary authorities, those are quite a specific specific functions and duties involved. And the amendment bill attempts to delegate power to other public officers. I believe this is not the solution to the shortage of manpower, as if the veterinary authority is short-handed, short-manned, the correct way to resolve this problem is like what the other honorable member for in this house has mentioned, to increase the employees and the staff of the authority rather than try to put together other officers or other government servants from other department or ministry to help out in this veterinary, in these duties undertaken by the veterinary authority. So as the reason being that other officers may not be experienced in handling these issues involving rabies or other issues involving animals. So I would say that, you know, instead of allowing other public officers to undertake or to help out in the veterinary authorities' job, what the government should do is to allocate more budget in employing more staff, properly trained staff to be assigned under the veterinary authority, and that would definitely be more effective in helping to carry out the duties under the authorities. And just a short comment on what was mentioned by Honourable Member for Batu Kitang, who has tried to attribute the spread of the rabies to dog owners, whom he classified as irresponsible and in moving their dogs to the from affected areas to those non-affected areas. I beg to differ on his comment. Don't try to push the failure of the government in controlling the spread of the rabies to the rakyat. All right, I believe most dog owners are responsible owners, and that one of the spread of the rabies is strays, which belongs to no owners, and that in particular, I find that, you know, amongst the three municipal areas, i.e. Padawan Council, MBKS, and DBKU, we can notice that most strays are found in Padawan Council area, which is under Honourable Member from for Batu Kitang. And so up to now, the control of strays is under the local authority, which is under the jurisdiction of Honourable Member for Batu Kitang. So don't try to push, don't try to fault the rakyat for the failure of the authority in curbing the spread of rabies. With those remarks, I support this view.
Any other member who wishes to speak? Member for Opal.
Okey. Tan Sri Dr. Ahmad Speaker, terima kasih kerana memberi peluang kepada saya untuk terlibat sama dalam membahaskan rang undang-undang Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022 seperti yang telah dibentangkan di Dewan Yang Mulia ini oleh Yang Berhormat Menteri Industri Makanan, Komoditi dan Pembangunan Wilayah yang juga merupakan adun N69 Kementerian. Kemelut penyakit rabies masih belum berakhir di Sarawak sejak kemunculan semula wabak rabies di bahagian Serian yang bermula pada 1 hari bulan Julai 2017, iaitu selepas 50 tahun kali terakhir wabak rabies berkenaan dilaporkan di wilayah Sarawak. The disease outbreak spread very fast throughout the state, and the government required more officers to carry out the role in curbing the spread of the disease. Since the disease was first detected in July 2017, Sarawak has lost 46 lives, including 8 this year from 52 cases of rabies reported thus far. Mortality rate for human rabies is very high in the past 2 years. Despite fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, the state was simultaneously battling to keep the rabies outbreak at the bay. Thus, there is a need to create this inaugural congregation of experts in prevention and control of rabies in the community, as the Department of Veterinary Service Sarawak cannot fight the disease alone. To safeguard our community, the Sarawak government has allocated the sum of 7.07 million under the Plan of Action for Rabies Control and Elimination Program since 2017. Other than that, the government has recently established Immune Bug Enforcement Team, IBET, under the Sarawak Security and Enforcement Unit to complement and support the Department of Veterinary Services Sarawak, the VSS, in the control, as well as conducting awareness program among communities and to prevent inclusion of rabies along the Sarawak-Kalimantan border that spans over 1,200 kilometers from Lundu to Lawas. IBET have been tasked to curb movement of rabid dogs, carry out surveillance and vaccination of dogs, together with the Department of Veterinary Services Sarawak. There are 100 IBET personnel that will be posted to strategic places throughout Sarawak, especially near the border area. IBET officer is designed and trained to operate in 32 small teams to cover 978 settlements along the border area. As far as in urban area, Sarawak Veterinary Authority may authorize public health officer under the Ministry of Public Health, Housing and Local Government to carry out duties related to dogs and rabies control. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, rabies is a vaccinated preventable disease, zoonotic and viral diseases. Once clinical symptoms appear, rabies is virtually 100% fatal. In up to 99% of cases, domestic dogs are responsible for rabies virus transmission to humans. It is spread to people and animals through bite and scratches, usually via saliva. It is a worldwide epidemic with at least 59,000 human deaths reported yearly, both in Asia and Africa alone. Every year, World Health Organization reported that more than 29 million people worldwide receive a post-bite vaccination. This is estimated to prevent hundreds of thousands of rabies deaths annually. Globally, the economic burden of dog-mediated rabies is estimated up to US 8.6 billion per year. Rabies is a vaccine-preventable disease. Vaccinating dog is the most cost-effective strategy for preventing rabies in people. Dog vaccination reduces deaths attributable to dog-mediated rabies and the need for post-exposure prophylaxis, PEP, as part of dog bite patient care. Education on dog behavioral and bite prevention is an essential extension of a rabies vaccination program and can decrease both in the incidence of human rabies and the financial burden treating dog bites. Increasing awareness of rabies prevention and control in communities include education and information on responsible pet ownership, how to prevent dog bite, and immediate care measures after the bite are very important. Therefore, early intervention, close monitoring and surveillance, together with prevention and combative measures are very important to avoid the rabies situation become out of control in Sarawak. There are various agencies who have done a wonderful job of working together by collaborating in raising awareness on these important issues, working hard and advocating to keep the community and their pets safe from rabies and other dangerous diseases. By working together, everyone can play their role in keeping people and animals safe from rabies. Everyone must be reminded that the World Rabies Day is celebrated annually on September 28 to raise awareness about rabies prevention and to highlight progress in defeating this terrifying disease. This year's theme is Rabies, One Health, Zero Death. For our record, a total of 224,434 dogs were vaccinated since 2017, out of which 170,925 dogs receiving the first dose, while 44,330 dogs received a booster doses. These duties was carried out only by 252 officers in various grades from the State Veterinary Authority throughout the state. There is a need to increase the number of the State Veterinary Officer in the state to enable them to carry out their duty effectively. Establishment of IBET is timely to help the Department of Veterinary Services Sarawak in rabies prevention and control throughout the state. However, currently there is no provision in the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999, Chapter 32, to authorize IBET officer and any other officer beside authorized officer from DVSS that can dispense vaccine and veterinary drug. Therefore, the proposed amendment will provide legal authority for them to execute their tasks and responsibility accordingly. Section 6 is amended to allow the State Veterinary Authority to delegate its function and duty to any public health officer, while Section 57 is amended to allow the authorization of other person in the State Veterinary Authority to dispense the veterinary drug. These amendments allow the State Veterinary Authority to authorize IBET personnel and public health officer to assist them to administer vaccination and carry out other statutory functions and duties of the State Veterinary Authority officer in controlling and spread of the disease under the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999, Chapter 32. Therefore, I fully support Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022. Thank you.
Any other member who wishes to speak? I shall now call upon the Honourable Minister to deliver his winding up address.
Thank you, Thomas Speaker. I would like to express my thanks and appreciation to the members of this, some of the members from this August House who has participated in the debate from Tebeduk, from Batu Kitang, from Padungan, and from OPA. We have heard details or information from some members who are actually quite an expert in veterinary. We have a vet here, thank God we have a veterinarian. And also some suggestion from the members of this August House. But before I respond further, I want to make some correction. One, African swine fever is not African swine flu. There's no flu in African swine fever. Second, there's no such thing as pushing the responsibility, the blame to the public. All we need is cooperation by the public in order for the authority to be more effective. That's all. No pushing here. Two correction. And I agree, I must admit, we are short-handed in terms of manpower. You compare to Sabah, 700 plus, we are 200 plus. Yes, please push harder so that we will get manpower. I welcome that suggestion. The other one is that, Mr. Speaker, regarding African swine fever, is ongoing assistance that we are doing. We just started to give so-called assistance. We don't call it compensation. There's no way we can compensate the loss of this African swine fever, the pig farmers and so on. But what we need is the cooperation. Those pigs that we have culled registered, verified, and so on. That will be assisted in some way or other, whether they're domestic or domesticated or industrial. So, Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, actually, that is the very reason why we need this amendment, so that wherever we can have assistance from, including during emergency outbreak like this. That's the reason why we need officers from IBET. Non-ordinary officers though, they're all well trained by the authority. They are trained to dispense drugs. They are trained to do vaccination. There's no question of they're not trained. So, if we in the government think it's not enough, of course we will get more officers, staff, and so on to be in the Veterinary Services Department of the DBSS, or the Department of Veterinary Services Sarawak. So here, we want to do things to take upon ourselves the responsibility to protect Sarawak and Sarawakian. Among others, we must know whether it's zoonotic or non-zoonotic, from animal to human or animal to animal. Rabies, animal to man, very dangerous. African swine fever, animal to animal. Of course, because the population of pigs in the state less, and therefore we have to pay more for it. But we are not looking at differently. What we want to do now is, while we fight against the African swine fever, we are also opening certain abattoirs all. While we open, they keep going. It's a continuous fighting over ASF, African swine fever. But nonetheless, all I need is the cooperation from the pig farmers, hunters, and those handling duel with pigs and so on, or pockets and so on. So far, we have actually contained the Semunjan or Tanah Putih, because they have a very good so-called compartmentalization where they can control it. So with that, Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I think what we would like to do here is to have a full cooperation from the public as well as the authority. It is almost impossible for authority to do it alone, or near impossible. But with the cooperation of the public, especially the pig farmers and the dog owners, we should be able to contend with this. We are hoping by the year 2025, we should be able to eradicate this. This is a global phenomenon. In America, they call it RITA, rabies in America. And we call it in Africa, we call RUWA, also rabies. We just had ours 2 months ago. We have RIB, rabies in Borneo, which representation from neighboring countries all giving the opinion and how can we manage. We are seriously looking into this so that we be able to contain this problem. So, Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, with that, I wish to conclude and hope that this August House support this bill.
Ahli yang berhormat, the question before the DEWAN is that the motion standing in the order paper in the name of the Honourable Minister for Food Industry, Commodity and Regional Development, and Honourable Member for N69, Kemana, be passed and referred to the Committee of the Whole House. As many of the opinions say yes, as many of the contrary opinions say no, the yes of it, the motion is passed and referred to the Committee of the Whole House. The DEWAN shall resolve into the Committee of the Whole House to consider the bill which stands committed to the committee. The DEWAN shall now consider the Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022.
Clauses 1, 2, 3.
The question is that clauses 1 to 3 are ordered to stand part of the bill. As many as opinions say yes, as many contrary opinions say no, the yes of it, clauses 1, 2, 3 are ordered to stand part of the bill.
Enacting clauses and title.
The DEWAN shall now resume. Honourable Minister.
Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I wish to report that the Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022 has been considered by the Committee of the Whole House.
Rang Undang-Undang Kerajaan. Bacaan kali yang ketiga. Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022. Yang Berhormat Menteri Industri Makanan, Komoditi dan Pembangunan Wilayah dan Adun N69 Kemenang.
Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I beg to move that the Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022 be now read a third time and do pass.
Yang Berhormat, the question before the DEWAN is that the Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022 be read a third time and do pass. As many other opinions say yes, as many contrary opinions say no, the yes of it, the bill is read a third time and pass.
Veterinary Public Health Amendment Bill 2022.
Yang Berhormat, the DEWAN is adjourned. We shall resume our sitting at 2:30 p.m.